Welcome, my name's Sam and this is The Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me today. Now this is our second card for the stamp set Lifetime of Love, and if you think you may have seen this before, you have. It was in last year's catalogue and luckily it's carried over to this year, so we're giving it a second run. And rather than having it as a wedding or anniversary card, we're turning them into birthday cards. So this is the card we're going to create today. It's got this beautiful effect from the bunch of roses, or whatever you wanted to call them or create them to be. It's got an aperture here, which I have used from the Busy Bee stamp set, Meant to Be dies. So this is your hexagon shape, and we've even got a little bit of embossing here with the Damask embossing folder. So let's bring in our supplies and we can start creating. So let's bring these in. So the first thing we've got is a piece of Granny Apple Green. Now this measures 8 inches by 5 3/4, and I've scored it at the 4-inch mark. I'll just burnish that. We then have a piece of white cardstock, which measures 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. We then have a piece of Melon Mambo. This measures 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. I've got a scrap of green for my hexagon shape, and I've got a scrap of white for my stamping of my flowers. So let's do all the stamping and die cutting first, and then we can create the card. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to use this beautiful 3-headed display of flowers. I'm going to stamp those up in the Memento ink. There we go. So I need 2 of those in total. So I'm going to put on there. And I can sneeze. If I do, I apologise. I don't normally suffer from hay fever, but there we go. Oh, I am going to sneeze. Excuse me. Excuse me. Apologies. Right, okay, so we've got our 2 flowers and we're going to colour those in. So I have got Granny Apple Green dark and light for the leaves, and then I have 4 shades of pinky purples. So she says pinky purples, and the first one is light cherry cobbler. Then I have got light mango melody. We've got light blackberry bliss. And then we have, dark bubble bath. So let's start with the light cherry. So I'm going to just use that at the base of the flower, and then it can blend in. Obviously, you can use whatever colours you prefer. And if you just want to use 1 or 2 colours, you do not have to use the 4. Depends on how you wish to colour in. So this is the light Melon Mambo. So let's just add a bit of that. And as you can see, I'm not colouring it all in the same area. I'm just adding the colour as I go. Then we've got the light blackberry bliss. So that's going to come down here a bit. There we go. And then you've got the, let's actually just put a bit more over here. And then we'll have the bubble bath to fill in around the other bits. Okay. Sorry, this is dark bubble bath. I think I said light, and apologies if I did. And then I'm just going to colour in the bits that I haven't already decorated. Obviously, if you feel that you've got too much of one colour, you can always go in and add a bit more. And then, as I say, I've got the dark and light Granny Apple Green for the leaves. So I'm going to start with the dark, and I'm going to use the thin point, and I'm just going to highlight the, you hear the woodpecker? No, I don't think it is actually. I think it's a magpie making that noise outside my window. So, and then I'm going to use the light, and then I'm just literally going to go over the whole of the leaf and blend in the two greens to give it a lovely blended effect. Okay, right, so once we've done all the colouring in, we'll save time here. We won't do that. We've got this die that comes with the stamp set, and it literally just fits all the way over our flower here. Put it down, and I'm holding it in place with some washi tape just to make life easier. Then I'm going to bring in my Melon Mambo. I'm going to place my hexagon, the largest of the two hexagons, I'm going to place onto my paper, and that will get run through the die and emboss machine. And the same I'm going to do the small with the Granny Apple Green. Once I've run this through and got the hexagon shape, I will then run it through with the damask afterwards. So with the damask, the pattern goes side to side. So you're going to need this stripe to the right hand side of you, and you just pop it inside once you've cut it out and then run it through. So once you've done that, it comes back looking like this. You've cut out your green hexagon. What I've done is, those that you know, it comes with two pieces. For some reason I've not brought the other piece with me. What have I done with it? Oh, there it is. So that comes in like that. One run through will give you those two pieces, and then I don't need the middle piece, so that's going to come out. And then I've cut my flowers out, and I have my two flowers there. So now we literally just need to piece our card together. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring in my white base. Now unusually it's going to be in the background rather than the foreground, and we're going to stick that down with my multi-purpose, and I'm hoping this one, I've got three in front of me, so one of these should hopefully work. Oh, look at that, it's being good today. Put it down. There you go. There. So this is slightly different from the previous card that I showed you. As you can see, the red border here is going to fit up right up to the edges of here. And that is by just running the larger of the two squares through twice, and you get that little border there. So what I'm going to do now is, because I've run through the smaller slice, that can now sit quite nicely in between, and it gives you a white effect, green and then white. So again, I'm just going to dab a bit of glue onto this, and my aim is to line up the points that run left to right with the points of this hexagon that I'm holding. So it's the points from left to right on the big hexagon. So make sure it's that way, and then roughly that goes to there. So that looks good, and then that to there. I've got my pointy tool so I can move it up slightly should I need to. It just seems there. Now when you're 100% happy, you can just firm it down. Okay. Now the next thing to do is to put your sentiment in the middle. Now I'm using Best Wishes. This is from the stamp set With You in Mind. Obviously you can put Happy Birthday inside once you have stamped and created your card. But for this purpose of this, I'm just going to use Best Wishes. Yep, I'm happy with that. And I'm going to make sure that that fits as centrally as possible inside the hexagon. So there we go. Push down. There we are. Best wishes. So the next thing to do is to add our flowers, and for this I'm going to pop them up on dimensionals. I probably will use about 4, just so that I've got, no, I'm going to use 3. There we go, on that one, and then 3 on this one. 1, 2, 3. Right, take the backs off of those. Now it's up to you where they go, obviously. Now, if you don't have the hexagons, obviously you can use circles, you could use squares, use whatever shape you've got, just to give yourself an aperture that you can then decorate with your flowers. So I think that one will go there, and then I've got the opposing one to go on the other side. Pull that off. There we are. And that will go onto there. Lovely. And then the last thing for us to do is to pop it onto our base card. Let's make sure it's opening correctly. Yeah, it is. Always a good sign for that to happen. And then just stick that down. So we've literally got 2 versions here of the same card. There we are. So I've got the green and the red, which I suppose could almost have been a Christmas card because of the colouring. And then we've got all the pinks. Which do you prefer, the right or the left? I think I'm wavering to the left, but you know, let me know in the comments below. Well, thank you ever so much for joining me today, and I'll be back on Friday with a funky fold. Well, it would not have been a video if we'd not had one of the dogs bark. And there was Bootsy. So thanks ever so much for joining me today, and I will catch up with you on Friday. Take care, everybody. Thank you. Bye.